Okay, this question says, which of the following statements about this uh, the catalyst is not correct? About the catalyst, it says it lowers the activation energy of the reaction. This is a correct statement, and therefore it's not the answer. It says which is not correct. It lowers the activation energy of the reaction. That is a correct statement. It has no effect on the equilibrium constant for the reaction. That is also a correct statement, right? It reduces the energy cost of the reaction because it lowers the activation energy. As it lowers the activation energy, the energy cost is also less. So this is also a correct statement. So A, B, and D are correct statements, and therefore it cannot be the answer. C, option C says it alters the enthalpy change of the reaction. That is a wrong statement. Catalyst never alters the enthalpy change for a reaction. As we already studied, if you remember in Hess's law, that the enthalpy change for a reaction is independent of the route taken from the reactants to the products. So if you add a catalyst, the route changes, the mechanism changes. The catalyst lowers the activation energy, but the enthalpy change remains the same. So C would be the answer because C is the incorrect statement because the question asks about the incorrect statement, right? So C will be the answer. Question number B says, which conditions favor the highest percentage of ammonia in an equilibrium mixture from identical amounts of nitrogen and hydrogen? Which conditions would favor? Since it's an exothermic reaction in the forward direction, a lower temperature will favor the equilibrium yield of ammonia. If you want to increase the yield of ammonia, you have to lower the temperature because the forward reaction is exothermic, right? So we need to choose the lower temperature. Now the lower temperature is 400 Kelvin, right? 400 degree, if you compare 400 degrees Celsius and 400 Kelvin, of course 400 Kelvin is a lower temperature, right? Okay. And if you want to increase the yield of ammonia, you need to increase the pressure because at high pressure, the position of equilibrium will shift from left to the right. Because on the left hand side, you have 4 moles, on the right hand side, you have 2 moles. So the position of equilibrium will shift from left to the right. The position of equilibrium will shift from left to the right because there are greater number of moles of gases on the left and fewer moles of gases on the right. So we'll be choosing the higher pressure. Now 200 atm, definitely 200 atm is a higher pressure than 200 kilopascals. 200 atm is actually higher pressure compared to 200 kilopascal. So the answer to this question will be B.